morning. Pleasant good morning to you, viewers. Welcome to Good Morning SVG. I'm your host, Pearl Williams. We would like to give thanks for our viewers yesterday. Thank you for a few of the messages which were sent on to us. I'm very grateful um, for those of you who missed yesterday's program. You can still, obtain those information on our page, Good Morning SVG. We are still open. I mean, if you would like to sponsor one of our segments, please, you can call us at 1784-454-8398. We are located in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What we speak about and what we promote is advertising, marketing, and promotions on this program. We also share, entertainment information and so on. Yesterday, our guests, we spoke with Mr. Showin Joseph out of Trinidad and Tobago, the Amateur Athletics Association, and we are so grateful for those persons who are taking their time out to join us live on the program, bringing all information up to date. This program is seen daily from Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 9. And you are free to view us. As I said, you can inbox us, you can send us your comments, your information. Okay, this morning we are on the topic of pageantry, and the reason why we chose this this platform this morning is that we are trying to bring a lot of update to you as it relates to pageantry, and we do hope that the information and so on, that you appreciate the information. Now, we would like to send shout out to some of our folks in the BVI, and to make mention to you, we do have a new artist. I've just joined it. I've just joined Utex International, which is our consultant and marketing agency, and we've had Mr. Troy George as one of our most recent artists to join us, and so we will be speaking about that very soon. But let's go on to the pageantry. We have noticed that pageantry and the pageant industry are growing by leaps and bounds on a daily basis. It will be nice if the OECS or CARICOM, put some organization or some level of control, or to form an organization with some legislation to the fashion industry, the CARICOM fashion industry, and pageant industry. Reason being, we have seen in the industry that quite a lot of people are setting up pageants and so on. It looks sometimes very nice when we receive the new information as it relates to people who are setting up and so on. But it is not a mobby shop industry, and we are seeing a lot of so-called, and should I use the word so-called, or should I use sort of pre-show, so to speak, setup, and it is not well structured. The contestants and what's not, it's like disaster on stage, and all those directors or pageant directors and what's not need to come together, whether it's a CARICOM initiative where they have certain control and certain regulations, and your experience to afford you the opportunity to practice and so on. It is, of course, a skill, and it is also management, how to manage and how to obtain sponsorship, how you walk and all of that. And we are saying that you just don't say come on board or come on stage and you start walking on stage. We have to look at a few things here. We are looking at your ability, your awareness, of pageants. You need to know how to manage your pageant, the time, your practice session, and what's not, your price structure, your personal development training, and so on. You just don't put ladies together and call them queens, right? Now, what is critical for us at this time, we are seeing a lot of people, sending invitation to these women and putting sashes on and sashing these girls and calling them names like Miss Trinidad and Tobago, Miss Dominica, Miss St. Vincent, and what's not. These girls have no formal training in, execution. They don't have any sort of training at all. And when you go on stage and you invite dignitaries and whatnot, and these people have the audacity to record and send it to YouTube without proper editing, without any sort of execution in terms of, running a show, on time and all of that. There's nothing at all in place. And we have to say to some of these people that there must be a place that you can go and obtain training and what's not. I realize online there are certain modeling agencies are offering courses online. I suggest that you guys go on and look at the way in which it's done before we start practicing, because nobody seems to be interested in this industry. Anything goes. Anybody, I know you have a contestant who probably won a competition 2 years ago, and this is because whatever was presented, it was done in a right way, color coordination, proper stage etiquette, all of that, and she became the eventual winner. And so sometimes these girls feel that they already arrived and they can do the same thing. The industry has a lot of competition. People are competing on a poor state. They are asking you to come on board and what's not. We're looking at sponsors who are now, buying into the packages and what's not. But at the end of the day, the structure of the pageant, the layout of the pageant, and I say layout because the execution must be laid out properly and it must be presented properly. Now we have girls who are practicing, can't see, who are practicing, and there's no knowledge whatsoever, and they are answering questions as it relates to the pageant in this level of hostility. A matter of fact, the ladies put on their show. Some of them are coming to you with winning package. Can I win the show? And if I do, you obtain 6, 11, 12, 13,000 US dollars. So give us the package. This is what is happening in the industry. It happened to me. They are also hoping or put together their information. And when they are not successful with the nonsense, they start venting their feelings on Facebook. It is time that we as adults try to have a balanced criticism or comment when you can go to these women and they ask them what seems to be the problem based on what they're writing. And if it's something that you feel is wrong and it should be justified, it's nice to call the organizers and say, this is not nice. Our girl put her time together, put her fees together, try to show up on time, to be at the event. And at the end of the day, they put their very best foot forward, and the winner and what's not are given to somebody else, as though there is a gathering and you look for the best person and you send them off or you crown them and say they are the winners. This is not the case. I'd like you to refrain from this sort of practice. The ladies who are participating, there must be certain requirements and regulations. There must be proper training and so on, so that when you put these little packages or the entertainment package together, as you call it, pageantry, which sometimes when you look at the actual execution, it has nothing to do with pageant at all. And we ask our directors or national directors to please refrain from this sort of practice. It does not look good. I can't see that. It does not look good. We are trying to make sure that the industry look professional and maintain its professionalism. And we must also understand that when we deliver and what's not, it should be to the best of our ability. I would also ask you, please, to look at structuring. If we do have on our program, a 1 hour program where you have the introduction, you have your description, the space that you have or the time that you have allotted to speak about your sponsors, you show a sponsor by who, and you know, your information as it relates to the contestants, their names, what they are into, whether their occupation, their height, weight, or whatever it is that you would like to read out during the pageant itself to see, you know, the versatility or the qualification of the contestant. It is right to do so. Okay. So one, we are seeing unprofessional, unexperienced people are putting together these pageants and these packages that has nothing to do with pageantry. It looks very, very disorganized. The industry are not being taken seriously. Some of the accredited shows are feeling the what you call it, the pressure right now. And I use that common term, pressure, but the struggle is real when it comes to sending those letters out and what's not, to have accredited pageants where the girls move on to an empowerment driven extension of your program. And I said extension of the pageant because I use this word because at the end of the day or the end of the pageant, the girl reigned for 1 year and she's engaged in different activities, and I'm speaking about empowerment activities. So it's always advisable that if you have no knowledge at all about pageantry, to find assistant. You have people, I personally, you have other persons who are practicing in the industry. It doesn't hurt for you to call and ask for assistant, for you to look at how you draft an application and all of that. You are seeing some people are extending invitations and calling themselves international. They ask you about your franchise and they ask you to buy these franchise and what's not. The application form is not structured properly. We do have errors on those forms. The franchise itself is undocumented. It is illegal. And these people send these franchises to you and say, you know, this is an every year membership fee, if you ask me, or a franchise fee, and this is what you pay on a yearly basis or every 2 years. Now we ask you first of all, and this is what you do, you go to Google, you try to find those pageants and their names. Sometimes these pageants are not legally registered. Think about what you are getting yourself involved in. You are leaving your homes to travel to these destinations, and no insurance in place. The prices that you receive and what's not, the value of those prices is something that you can actually walk in the store and walk out with, because you can purchase one of these crowns and print your own sash and call your name Miss Who, because this is what is happening as far as we are concerned. So let's go back to the elements. You are traveling without insurance, 1. 2 is the pageant is not documented, it's not legal. So if something should happen to you, while you're rehearsing on stage, you fall on stage, you damage your back, you have some sort of permanent injury, who are you taking to court and what's not? What is the arrangement? Look at the level of contract and to see that those contracts are drafted properly and what's not. And this is serious. This is a serious issue. So you look at all those things and you say whether or not you make your decision, should you participate, yes or no. Some of the reigning queen contracts and what's not gives you a 1 year reign, and sometimes the arrangement and that they have in place that has nothing to do with your pageant. You sit at some you know, at some event, maybe it's a private party or something was put on by a promoter. Sometimes they ask you to, to sit at government house, which we are not seeing in recent times. And so they ask you to make these little appearances all around the place, and it has nothing to do with empowerment, you know. An accredited pageant that has some level of experience in the execution, proper training and whatnot, will say to you that these girls need professional training. One, the way that they speak, their personal development, you know, the way in which they conduct themselves in public, it's also under personal development. And so you have to be, thoroughly prepared when you are participating in these pageants. As let us go back now to what we are speaking about in terms of insurance and all of that, right? So here is it, you're traveling because you was given or an invitation was extended to you. You took that invitation, you travel and what's not. Some of these women are mothers, because what we are seeing in the industry right now is that you can come on board, actually Miss Plus Size Universe, you can have kids. It's an adult pageant, sorry. And you are traveling, you are leaving your kids at home, you are leaving your responsibility and what's not. I guess some of you are just showing that you have the ability um, to produce one. That is a contestant to produce your winnings and your ability. You are producing that, and as a result of that, you are executing on the night to show people how versatile you are, right? And when we say produce, please look at the word produce. I use this word because obtaining all the skills and all of that, having done your proper training and all of that, and when you produce the end result or the product itself, then you enter the competition. So yes, you produce all the elements. You got to the point that this is my producing package. I can produce. It also means that I can produce and put my own pageant together. So I can produce this. This is the attitude. But please bear in mind that a proper program and what's not should be timed. Whether it's an hour program, 2 hours program, the segment and the category has to be in place, and these other things. So when you accept these invitations and what's not, and you go out there and you realize this is a waste of time, of course you would have solicited your sponsorship, and you mean that these companies are now sponsoring these young ladies. There's no justification. There is no mileage and what's that. And so the girls look very pretty, and people put their money and say, "Boy, I can sponsor." All right. But a accredited show would ensure that your sponsors are on board, and either it's a barter arrangement situation, or that whatever was given and was not, they make sure that it's advertised so they receive their mileage and so on. So you look for certain red flags when you get these invitations and what's not. You look for people who have no knowledge at all about pageantry and practicing out there. And you go out there, and if something should happen to you, if there is some casualty, there is no benefit whatsoever for you or your family. Okay? There is no legal contract in place, none whatsoever, and you are receiving this. And please note that when you carry yourself, very, some people use the word cheap. I would not say that. When you carry yourself without proper knowledge of acceptance, and you are not looking legally into some of the things that you are signing, it will not hurt for you to take your information, whatever was given to you, and take it to your lawyer and ask them to read it in whatever legal terms or whatever. Or sometimes a little fly-by-night documentation and what's not. Make sure you understand it thoroughly so that you know exactly what you are getting yourself into, right? We also saw on some of the documents and what's not, you are saying to people, after you'd have taken the opportunity and you receive the invitation and accept the invitation. You are saying to people, please don't use my photo in public. I would like to say to you, if I do have my contestants who would have already participated or have gotten the crown as a result of the pageant and she became the eventual winner, and I decide to use my photo because it's my show and to show the historical aspect of my show by showing who were the winner, when the show began up to this point. You cannot legally say to me that I am unable to send those photos because you did not give me the opportunity. So, sorry, the opportunity, the authorization. You must understand, when you are participating based on the people or the promoters or the national director who are staging these pageants, they need to tell you that you must sign to your contract stating that you give legal rights to practice. And it means that while you're practicing and what's not, your girls have a right to be on the media. The photos are being used for marketing and promotion and so on. So you have some people after the pageant, they realize, look, I didn't win the show. They look now for all the loopholes, what they signed to, and start venting their nonsense on Facebook. This is hurting the industry tremendously. You have to know, as a young lady or a participant and what's not, what qualifies you to become an ambassador. Are you given an invitation without any experience and you accept it? That's one. Two is, do you know the significance of becoming an ambassador when you represent your country, when you have endorsement and everything? Let's say, for example, like the national show, Miss Trinidad and Tobago, Miss St. Vincent and Grenadines, Miss Dominica and whatnot, you are already crowned and you go out there to represent your country. And because that you were not successful, you start writing about everything that happened in that pageant. Now, when you do something like that, people ask the question, are you a contestant or what? Are you a gangster? Are you practicing gangsterism on Facebook? And you are telling people who are the judges, where you stayed, what you ate, the transportation, whether it was late, yes or no. So you look for the ills in the execution and bring it forward to Facebook. What do you call this, an ambassador? It is ridiculous. And you guys need to stop this level of practice, taking all the loopholes or the backstage experience and all of this, and take it to Facebook. What are you really saying, or what sort of justification, what you are hoping to achieve by putting all this nonsense on Facebook? It is terrible. These things are hurting the industry. I mean, people turn up their noses right now when you talk about pageant. And I am a strong ambassador, let's say, to St. Vincent and Grenadines, and you tell yourself that, the level of respect that you should earn, it deteriorated because nobody has time with you. And what's not, why? People are looking at all of this. You took photos in your swimsuit. Yes, you're properly shaped and what's not, your interviews and what's not. And you post it on Facebook to show your beauty and you market yourself and what's not. At the end of it all, when you open your mouth to speak about whatever experiences you may have had at that pageant, it devalues the purpose. Okay? So I'll say to the young ladies, one, please refrain from this level of practice. You are not, as the minute you start on Facebook speaking about your experiences during the pageant, you are not considered an ambassador. We can see clearly that you were called to participate, but you were not crowned. There's a difference between calling and obtaining some level of achievement to go out as an ambassador to represent. So we know that when you go on Facebook and you start writing these nonsense, that you are not a crown ambassador to this pageant, that you have no collection whatsoever, or you have no what you use, no caliber whatsoever, and that is what the common term is. Okay, when we are selecting our girls, we need to go out and make sure that the occupation is on point. The girl passes all her requirements to become that ambassador. And this is a selection straight across the board when you are selecting all the delegates, and what you use the word as casting. So in your casting, please ensure that the girls carry out all, the requirements, your height, your weight, your education background. You must be crowned and all of that. You have a clean police record and all of that. You are healthy. You are a citizen of your country and all of this. So when you look at the requirements and you fill that application out and what's that, you know whether or not we are dealing with quality or what we are dealing with. Okay? It is it's not advisable that the girls who are participating in the pageant, and if they probably have some, unfortunate experience, that they take this to Facebook and what's not. People don't take their linens that they wear and start placing it in the public and waving it in the public. It is not good. So the reason why the topic this morning, and of course I had two guests this morning who are unable to make it this morning, and we will continue. We will say to you that this is well overdue. It is overdue for someone to come on, whether it's a live or someone to address the pageant industry right now. It is a mess. We also say to our directors, please pay attention to the attire of these girls and what you're asking in terms of your category and competition. The girls are calling their gown evening gowns and what's not. It is very skimpy. It has nothing to do with elegance. And sometimes the gowns themselves look like costume. It's not evening gown. And so, on a very, very slow basis, very soon we will just have our women covering just the bus line and their private area. The others will be revealed. And we have to be very careful about this. We cannot allow the pageant industry to follow the carnivals right now. There's certain function and certain core and what's not when it comes to pageant that needs to be practiced, because we are seeing girls on the ramp for pageant. We are also seeing wedge heels being used as part of elegance in these pageants. We are seeing jumbo. It has nothing to do with plus size, but we are seeing jumbo pageants and what's not. We are looking at the way in which these girls walk during, their parade on stage and what's not. The walking. We are looking at the attire in its full presentation. The long nails with the loud colors and all of that. You have so many different areas. It needs to be clean and what's not. It is not a drag competition, as you know that the drag queens are separate from what we are using or what we are calling pageant these days, right? So you're looking at all of this, you're looking at the outrageous hairstyles and all of that, and you're still calling these pageants elegance, right? As far as we know that you are supposed to be practicing, proper personal development, as I mentioned before, proper personal development, courage, elegance, presentation, diction, all right? So when we say diction, and let's look at the way that you speak, your presentation, whether you articulate yes or no. We look at your gong, your beauty of your face, your gong, the courage, your color, your coordination of colors, the fit of the colors, and the way that you are able to walk in that dress. Okay? We look at your talent and what's not. We look at the originality of your talent. We look at the way in which you carry a positive message in that talent, and we look at your intellectual expression during that talent. So those are the categories that should be practiced straight across the board. We look at you in your costume and what's not. When you say to us, we look at presentation of your costume and also diction, the way that you present your costume and what's not. You're able to give a description on your costume. So whether it's your national costume, it is supposed to be presented stating what is the significance of your costume that you're wearing, who it was designed by, and what it represent, or what is the portrayal. And those are the elements that we are looking for in pageantry. You don't just call somebody on the stage and you walk across the stage and you call 3 people and say, boy, I want you to judge this and look for the best girl with the best shape, the best color, the best what, and you crown her. You know, I have seen some crown queens. I don't know who crowned those women, and they call themselves um, Miss not Miss Universe. Miss Universe is such a classy pageant. I don't know how the committee maintain this level of professionalism. But I say to you, I congratulate the winners and also congratulate the organizers of that show. So let's don't go there at all because that's a different thing altogether. Yes, so we are speaking about, you know, they just call the girls and was not call the judges and say, you know, the best girl that looks well, the girl who, you know, able to match her colors and was not, that's the winner. And it is beyond that. You know, we expect our winners to have to make an appearance at the school, to also give an experience and also to give an expression about elegance. How do you carry yourself and what's not? The reason why she was chosen the winner, you understand me? The way the courage of your uniform in school and what's not should be maintained. We are expecting our queens to be on that level when they can make an appearance and become mentors at schools and not necessarily you know, just walk with a pretty dress and say that, you know, that I am the winner and this is the date and the time I was crowned. So we have to be careful about that. We urge the what we call the national directors, and that's a new thing for me, the national directors, as well as the pageant organizers, to be very vigilant in the way in which they structure the pageant and what's not, and try your very best to practice, you know, honesty and not fraud. You know, stop making promises to the contestants, and at the end of the day, they are not rewarded with what they were told that they would accept or what the winning package would be. We know, and I've had that experience where you find people come on board and say and give a commitment and say to you on the night of the show that you will receive such. What I reversed was, you don't come to our show or you don't go to the pageant industry and say to verbally promise to you, you are making a commitment, and at the end of the day, that the child or the girl or whoever it is are not being rewarded their price. So what we had to do was to make sure that a legal contract is drafted. You know, when you give your commitment, you stand by it and you deliver, you know, to correct that little bracket, because it's been happening all the time. It happened to me in Trinidad and Tobago by one of the top institution in Trinidad and Tobago who promised to sponsor our prize to the winner and wait until after the show to say to us that business is bad, so they cannot continue the arrangement. Now that puts you in a position because you look very dishonest, one. Two is mentally these girls prepare to, you know, empower themselves and what's not. And of course, if your prize monies is at least $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, you expect to be rewarded because you made an investment, you know, and you should be rewarded. And when you say made an investment, your sponsors came on board to ensure they believe in your vision, they believe in your presentation, they believe in your ability, and they have decided to sponsor you. And at the end of the day, there's no reward. So make sure, please, that in this industry, and what's not, is a serious one, make sure you obtain good training for, you know, proper execution of a pageant, or whether you're a promoter, yes or no. Make sure all documentation, they are legal. And we say legal because sometimes, according to what you put together and what's not, and there's some sort of incident, you know, during the pageant and what's not, legally, that nothing can be done based on what you signed to. So read thoroughly about what you're signing to, one. Make sure that the documentation that you have is legally done. You need to ask questions. If this is the case, what is it then? And so on. Ensure that you thoroughly understand what you're getting involved in. Okay? The other thing is the girls are crying out. Some of the male promoters are harassing, are offering packages that if they should give themselves to these men that the eventual winner not only can have their prizes, but to also have a relationship. I've seen quite a number of ladies are crying out. I would give you an example of about 4 years ago, Miss Venezuela confided, and she said, in tears, I was at the airport after a particular pageant, and said to me that this is what was brought to her, or this was, this was passed on to her. It was an invitation, and it's not nice. And the person who staged that show or host that show, as a result of that young lady not giving in, and the most beautiful girl in the pageant, and she was not judged, she was not placed. And she felt that as a result of saying no to the perpetrator, that this was the end result. And I say to you that very soon we are planning a pageant conference where we are going to meet with some of the directors regionally. And then from that regional conference, we are going international. Okay? You don't allow the girls to be victimized and harassed as a result of your foolishness. I call it foolishness. Okay? And it is not accepted. We are not going to accept this at all in the pageant industry, that you cannot have your way with the contestant, and as a result of that, you did not score her, or she's not on any sort of winners in the winners row, so to speak, or on your winners list. And we are trying to condemn the act of looking at the girls in advance and saying, boy, this is my winner, or she's my winner, and what's not, rigging the competition. I'll say to you what happened to me. I mean, this is Facebook. We have no reason to go out there and give false alarm and be very untruthful and what's not, because I believe that people are looking this program, and if they find anything that is inappropriate, you can contact me. My number is 1784-454-8398. This, when you go on our page, Good Morning SVG, if you forget this number, you can obtain it on this page. I would like to say to you, in 2018, one of my contestants made contact with me from Europe. And she said to me, Mrs. Williams, the only way that I can participate in this pageant is if you allow me to win the show. I will offer you 10,000 US dollars. I can plan my celebration back in my country, because if I do, my government would have a holiday, or they will, announce that it's a holiday, and she would also have some level of benefit, whether the government is giving her something, whether it's a house or land or whatever. She did not say, but she said in her country, the government takes these things very serious, and they turn out to be cultural ambassadors. So I'm offering you $10,000 so that you can crown me. And when I get the crown back, my celebration party would be happening in my country. I said to her, I will not accept your $10,000. It is unfair for me to have all my delegates present and traveling this far, coming as far as South Africa. And because of $10,000 and what's not, you give me $10,000, I'm entitled, or your return is having the crown. I don't operate like that. That particular lady, I will say to you, I've been on Facebook sending messages to contestants and asking them not to participate in the show because this lady is not real. In recent time, up to last month, Miss Guyana sent us a text message that she received. Do not participate in the show. You understand me? This is what it is. You put a campaign out to damage your image, your integrity, and everything else. You try to sabotage when you find that you could not have your way. I like to say on Facebook, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of your bullying approach and the nonsense that you speak in. The audience have to be the same person like you You understand? To accept your claim, you understand, which is okay. So we are not going to play into your games with your nonsense. I've been calling everybody, and be very careful, because I would write you legally. I'll take you to court, and you will have to show us, and you declare your claim in court to say that this is what it is. Okay? We have seen other people using your brand and calling themselves Miss Plus Size Universe, Miss this, Miss, you understand me? And what they do, they ask you, please, can I obtain your franchise or whatever it is? And they go out and sell the information and your name and your brand to other people as though it's theirs. These are some of the things that we are seeing in the industry, fraudulent activities, right? And we ask our young women to be very vigilant as to what you're signing to, what you're participating in, and be very careful, okay? And I say to you, please do not come to Miss or participate in Miss Plus Size Universe, which is my brand, and expect to pass your $34,000, $50,000 and expect that we will accept your funds in exchange for a crown. I think it's wrong, it's bad practice, and the people who are practicing that out there, it is not good, it is unfair, and it's what you call fraud. So please refrain from this type of act, refrain from the other element I'll be speaking about when we speak about criticism. 1, 2, segregation, that is 2, and 3, you're looking at the ethnic background of your contestants, all right? You try your very best not at no time to practice those elements. There's no place whatsoever in the pageant industry for these type of practice or the practices. It's a shame. Let's look at it in a common term. It is a shame to see, where we are at right now in terms of pageantry. It is a shame. And very soon, and I'm saying soon as next month, into next month, we are going to begin our search for directors to have them documented, have them extend an invitation to them, and to ask them to be part of our online conference. This is a criminal act and what's not, and these people ought to be taken to court for their unprofessional behavior. It is a criminal act to go out there and solicit young women and take advantage of them, and things like that. It is a criminal act and it needs to be dealt with. And so we are trying to put things together right now to ensure that our young people are not used for your convenience, and they are not being sold to men. You have your friends and what's not, and you say, boy, I have some beautiful girls and what's not. See who you think that you can solicit and what's not, right? It is also part of human trafficking. I'll say this, I'll go this far, because when you solicit the girls, you take them to these countries and what's not, you put these girls making appearances and what's not, and you find your partner, your so-called partner, to introduce these young women to. It is also considered human trafficking. Be very careful about people who are creating these pageants, but at the end of the day, it is considered human trafficking. Okay? When you look at this, you look at somebody who has no knowledge at all about pageantry, and they set up something, and we say, 1, your parents should have proper documentation as to where this child is going, who's responsible, the hotel accommodation, where this child is eating and things like that, in terms of her meals and what's not. You don't know what is happening. Socially, people can sit at the table and what's not, they can be drugged, for a period of time. People would, take full advantage of you, probably in your hotel rooms and things like that. Be very vigilant. try to be very careful about your drinks and how you socialize at these events and what's not. A lot of things are happening, you know. And when you listen to the radio stations and you listen to the decision makers, you look at all the live and what's not, nobody's speaking about these things. So these things have to be at the forefront, okay? You know, these so-called promoters and pageant directors and what's not should have the day in court when they go out and exploit. It is exploitation, it's human trafficking, it is a crime. You know, stop using our young ladies for your nonsense, you know. And yesterday I listened to part of the meeting with the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago as well as Jamaica. And I was very impressed with some of the statements and what was observed and what is not and what's not. But please, you know, look at the criminal elements straight across the board. We have cyberbullying, we have the pageantry crime, white collar crime. There should not be any sophistication in this regard. A criminal is a criminal, right? You also have fraud that are happening. If you look at what is coming out of Nigeria and Africa recently, when they say to you that you're a Samsung winner, and please send us your information so that we can transfer these monies to you and what's not, it is considered the same crime. It is the same white collar crime. When you put documentation together, you try to solicit and what's not, you give your directive, you say to these girls, this is what expected, and on the night there isn't anything. Okay, think about the accommodation package that you are saying to the girls, this is where you're going to stay, or this is your accommodation arrangement. And when you get there, you sleep at somebody's house. Yeah. And these things should be regulated properly. There should be some core that are introduced, right? Or should be practiced, you know. There should be some level of registration for these promoters who have no experience whatsoever. You should be qualified. It is an occupation, it is an industry, and it should be regulated properly, you know. And you must meet the criteria of this, and you should be trained, you should be certified, and what's not. So we're looking to very soon to write CARICOM and ask them to accept our petition, ask them to accept, you know, what is being introduced. And when I say what is being introduced, please understand what we are speaking here. We are introducing a new core and new, should I use I would not use the word a directive, but we are stepping up to the game, and we are making sure that proper regulations are in place in order to save our little girls, you know, that they are not being manipulated publicly. That's one. Two, is to be used or to be exploited. We are giving that. So it's a level of protection. That's one, to be used, right? Number two is you are asking people to pay fees, and you're not asking what these fees are, you know, what it contribute to. Is it your participation fee? What it is? We are aware that you have expenses to stage a pageant and so on. And yes, you must pay your participation fees and what's not. But you also have some pageants and what's not very exorbitant and what's not. And they dare to say to you that if you don't pay these fees, you're not considered a contestant. While I understand this, and it should be in so much different ways and what's not, because you must maintain, you must have certain level of, you know, financial gain to the show in order to have a very good production. But at the same time, you don't go out of your pocket, unless say out of pocket fees and what's not. Yes, you can value your production and say, boy, my production, the value of my production in terms of organizing and putting together a good show is $300,000 to $400,000, $500,000 or $700,000. And so each contestant and what's not whether it's their package when it comes to their accommodation, their meals, transportation, um, your program itself, your entertainment package, your venue and all of that. When you, put those fees together and what's not, what is the cost of hosting your pageant? So we call it the value of your pageant. And once you have the value, of course, the delegates must pay their part, which is the registration fee. Okay, so what we are going to do after this program, and very soon, as I said, very soon as next month, to start sending invitations to our national director straight through the region. And so once we obtain those interests from the letters that, the letters which were sent out, once we obtain, the interest of the invitation by other national directors, then we are sitting around the table, and just like how I'm speaking to you, we are going to speak out, write a formal letter to send to CARICOM for acceptance, and to have, our claim and our complaint be addressed, and to come up with some level of structure to, to regulate this practice, this pageant industry. It is a shame, again, to see how we are conducting business as usual. It is a shame to look at the way our young women are being treated. And mind you, that the pageant industry also have males participants. And it's a shame, that these people are traveling, one, without insurance, two, they are not being compensated, three, that they are being exploited using their photo to promote who you are and not the delegate themselves. Three is that you find these little $5 and $6 trophy. It's very insulting to reward you with a trophy that the value is not even $60,000 or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, your winner's package is very poorly structured. The benefit is under $600 and what's not. Your airline ticket itself, sometimes coming from these parts, can be something close to about $6,000, $9,000, $8,000, $10,000. Think about these countries like Asia, Switzerland, Sweden, and these countries, the type of airline ticket and the cost of these airline tickets. Think about planning and putting together a winner's wardrobe, what you're talking. So sometimes the preparation fees could be anything close to about $100,000, depending on how elaborate that you are going. Accessories, shoes, things like that. You have your practice, your costumes, and what's not. So it is a cost. And when all of that, the preparation is done, and you get to your point now to compete, you become the winner and what's not, and you give a trophy as $50 and what's not, it's an insult, It is an insult. The package, the winner's package, cannot at all compete with your investment, So we're asking our young people out there to be very, very, very vigilant. Look at your contracts, demand information. If you cannot, if you are not successful with the answers, or you're not pleased, or you're not satisfied with those answers, refrain from participating, refrain from saying yes to the criminals, right? They are criminals when you do not have formal training in any sort of industry, whether it's practical or whether it's theory or whatever it is. And you go out there and try to practice things that you have no knowledge about. To me, you are a criminal, right? It's a criminal act. So we are saying to the criminals out there that your days are going to be short. We are going to make sure that when you go out there soliciting people's funds and soliciting people's children and all of that, it has to be done properly. There should be a form of respect when you do this. When you go out, you are making a contribution to the development of good citizens. You understand me? You are empowering when you crown a young lady. That young lady then takes the brand and take it to your community and take it to your country. You understand? And become the example all right? Not become the prostitute. An example, there's a difference, okay? We ask our winner to continue to smile. Make sure your smile is a logo in society. Make sure your attitude is your signature, and make sure that the decisions that you make are quite credible and that you can pass this on to our young people. This is what it is. These are some of the objectives of beauty pageants and what's not. When we look at the full package, and we call beauty inside out, and you look at, we are going with the entire package, not the beauty of your dress and who designed it. It's not how it fits on your body because you have a nice shape. You understand? We are crowning the full package. We are looking for symbols of integrity. We are looking at symbols of elegance. And we are looking for an ambassador who can go out and change lives and change our young people. This is pageantry. Okay? We look and we promote your versatility. We promote your ability, your education. We promote what your platform is and what you are championing at this point. You know, what you are using, what elements you are using to champion those accomplishments. You know, and where is this something that you're keeping to yourself without passing on? Recently, I wrote a letter to a potential sponsor here in Mustique, a house owner. I'd like to say hi to you guys if you're listening. Thank you so much for your appreciation to the vision. And I'll tell you this. I was called in a meeting as a result of sending that letter off. I was called into a meeting and I traveled to that meeting and I was saying, and my delivery was, most of our talented people are in the cemetery. If you are looking for talent, that is where you have to go. Unfortunately, we cannot wake up the dead, you know, but we are saying that there should be a platform out there to, you know, enhance, you know, our given talent. And so we are passing on and we are passing down. We say hi to Kim Sibini out of Trinidad and Tobago. You know, I remember these women, you know, as a little girl in school. I mean, you look up to these women. Kim Sibini. I hope to God that the people in Trinidad and Tobago can come up, you know, to give awards and a day of remembrance to our contributors and our mentors that are in the cemetery at this point, you know. Even if it's a memorial day and where you call all the queens under that brand who was crowned. I need to see things like this. You know, look at the contribution. Yeah. We need to call people like Miss Jackie Kunhau in San Fernando, who I believe it's a pageant and a fashion icon to the strongest point. It's a very powerful woman in Trinidad and Tobago in San Fernando, who have championed and who created, you know, quality citizens in our society in Trinidad and Tobago. You know, you don't come to me and say, Miss Williams, Miss Kunhau exploit me and what's not. This is somebody I grew up as a little girl admiring, you know. You don't go to Jackie Kunhau place and sit inappropriate, speak inappropriately, especially if you are representing Trinidad and Tobago. You know, you single out these women because you ask, you know, you go to places like Heather Jones, and I say hi to you, Heather. You know, Heather give you a fit, and she'll let you know this is her brand. You understand me? You don't sit inappropriately in her outfit. You don't walk, you know, in your own way in her outfit. She shows you and she tells you the importance of carriage, and you must carry this dress properly. And these are the women who maintain their pride, and we can single out, you know. And I use this as an example this morning to show you the quality that we are speaking about in our industry, you know, and that you can single out these women. You look at women like Pat Garcia, You know, I personally will not highlight what has happened to Pat in her personal capacity, but I am looking at Miss Garcia to the level that she is at right now, the Montessori school in San Fernando. How these kids are well spoken, well dressed, and they are trained to a certain standard that they can continue. Mastanda Bahar in Trinidad and Tobago was another serious cultural pageant where Indian descent, the women were Indian descendants or descent, they had a particular pageant. Not that African descent could not participate, but they maintain their Indian culture on this pageant. So when you look at the quality of pageantry that we are accustomed to, the quality pageant that when we send our young ladies, they know how to package talent, beauty, and intelligence and grace, is what we would like to continue. It is very nice to look at elegance in all aspects of the word on stage, to give that mannerism, to sit, to speak about your country and what your country is currently facing. And if you were given the opportunity, what would have been the changes? I mean, this is a package that we are speaking about. It gives you an opportunity to look into the future, where our young people, where they are coming from, the language they speak, you understand me, the way in which they think and all of that, to come up with the eventual winner and say, this is a serious ambassador. I would like her to go out in the community, and advocate for elegance and so on. Okay, so the directors who are practicing, we ask you please find a way to obtain proper information, find a way to understand management and proper skills when it comes to pageantry. We will caution you and what's not, because we are watchdogs. We are saying to you, especially on social media, this is not a pageant that has any relevance or can give you what you are looking for at this time. Okay? We know that the onus is on every citizen to feel that they can raise funds and they can put an event together to raise funds. But think about what you're doing mentally to our young people, because they feel as though they're embarrassed on stage, they were taken advantage of, they were exploited. Okay? So the department, the police department that has cyber crime and what's not, we have to look at the entertainment crime straight across the board for what it is. Okay? So I'd like to take this opportunity to say this morning that our two guests, which was expected this morning, are unable to be with us this morning. We understand your situation. We acknowledge your text message and your phone calls, and we hope that tomorrow that you can join us at 8 o'clock so that our viewers can understand the level in which we put our view, our issues, our acknowledgement, and everything that goes on right now in society to bring to light and say, this is something that we should speak about. This is something that we need to address. This is something that we expect John Public after this interview or this program to say that, I learned something on this program this morning, and when you look, this is what is happening, and join the core, join us in saying no to these level of criminal activities and practice. And so I would like to say so long this morning, and to say to some of the viewers who I'm seeing just joining us, if you don't know, this is Good Morning SVG. I'm your host, Pearl Williams. We are here from Mondays to Friday from 8 to 9 a.m. Feel free to inbox us. Send us your comments. Send us your issues. We can speak about it. You can go live. You can call us live. We are happy to hear from you. And so we look forward to being in your company tomorrow at 8 o'clock for another informative program, Good Morning SVG. Thank you, viewers, for being with us. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good morning. Enjoy your day. Bye now.